Okay. All right, so today's class is going to be on the UCC and how it relates to you. The UCC is the Uniform Commercial Code. All right, we're going to get into it in order to figure out exactly what we need to do. All right, number one, we went over some of this information last week, but it is extensive. First, we're going to talk about the fact of property cannot own property. Constitutionally, we are still looked at or classified as 3/5 of a human being. We have to take ourselves out from that classification. And how you do it is through an affidavit. Because an affidavit must be rebutted point for point. And if it's not rebutted within a 30-day span, point for point, then it stands as truth in commerce as well as within law. Okay? What is an affidavit? Let's look it up. Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, deluxe. Now there's 10 maxioms for affidavit. First, we're going to read affidavit in order to see what it's actually referring to. A writ or print declaration or statement of facts made voluntarily and confirmed by the oath or affirmation of the party making it, taken before an officer having authority to administrate or to be administrator of such oath. A statement or declaration reduced to writing and sworn to or affirmed before some officer who has authority to administer an oath or affirmation. Right, it goes down further. It says, affidavits are of two kinds. Those who serve as evidence to advise the court in a decision of some preliminary issue or determination of some substantial right, and those who merely serve to invoke the judicial power. You see that? Affidavits are used to serve, to invoke judicial power. You hear that? That's what affidavits are used for. To invoke judicial power. So if you classify as 3/5 of a human being, Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution, then you write an affidavit in which that states specifically that you are not 3/5 of a human being. That you are in full life. Let's look up in full life. Because guess what? That is here in the Black's Law Dictionary. In full life. Okay. It states, in full life, continuing in both physical and civil existence. That is, neither actually dead nor simulator mortus. You hear that? Simulator mortus. Let's look up simulator mortus because that is very important. Because right now, we have privileges in which that is disguised as rights. Civil rights is actually a privilege. Voting right bill is just that, a bill. But it is a privilege. Why? Because someone has to give you the authority to vote every 25 years. The President of the United States has to sign the voting right bill every 25 years to give you the ability in order to vote. That's a privilege. A right is something in which that is God-given and that is natural. Matter of fact, according to the hierarchy of law, natural law is the highest. So guess what? Within your affidavit, not only do you state that you're not a 3/5 of a human being, that you're in full life, that you're not simulator mortus, but guess what? That you are what? Bless you. That you are what? Bingo. that you are alive, that you exist, that you are in flesh and blood, that you are a sentient being, a spiritual being having a human experience. The spiritual being having a human experience. Okay? Because the question in court is, where do you live? They would tell you that it's some residence. That's not where you live. You live in your body. So you have to connect your spirit back to your body. According to the scriptures, according to the scripture, 1 Corinthians 3:16, do you not know that your body is the temple of God? And that God dwells in his temple? So where do you live? Well, I'm God, and I dwell in my body, my temple. Case closed. You don't live in a building, because you can leave this building and you don't die. Try to leave your body and see what happens. You can have an out-of-body experience, a near-death experience, or your cord can be cut and you actually do pass form. And you won't have a body to come back to, in which that is referred to as death. You still exist, because you was never your body to begin with. That's a temporary residence. Even your body is a temporary residence. So your place, or what is called your residence, is a temporary location. And it's not part of the federal enclave, which means that it's not part of Washington, D.C. You put brackets around the zip codes. I'm only putting this here, this zip code, because threat, duress, and coercion, TDC.
It's a tracking number too.
Right. And that's the whole point, that it's not part of the federal enclave. I'm simply using it in order to establish a temporary location. Because can anyone dictate to you when you can get up and move? You can move to Florida tomorrow. Do the state of North Carolina say that you can't move to the state of Florida? Do they have that power? So that means that the state of North Carolina has limited power. There's something that they are limited to. They can't dictate policy because you have what? A right to live wherever you want to, or to go wherever you want to.
But by establishing an address, aren't you agreeing to live in that area?
By establishing an address, you are stating that you are using a privilege. But a privilege do not supersede a right.
A privilege to be domestic or international?
It doesn't matter. All of it is privilege. Anytime that you use a United States passport, driver's license, state ID, did tax or registration for your own vehicle, all of those are privileges. And privileges is part of colorable law. That's not real law. And I'm going to get more into it. I'm going to show you.
They can be taken at
right.
will. You don't comply.
Somebody can take your privileges from you. Well, dang, if I'm not mistaken, that is a master and slave relationship.
That's true.
If somebody can take something from you, that means they are the master and you are the what?
Slave.
Okay, let's hold
Slav.
on. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let's look up slave right quick. And see, the thing is that you tell them simply, no rights was ever waived. My constitutional rights, which the Constitution actually guaranteed your natural rights. Rights in which that are given to you by God. Which is what? Unalienable. Unalienable. Hold on. Because y'all call it unalienable. But it's actually it's unalienable.
Just one last question.
Hold
you
on.
put the bracket around your...
Unalienable. And they call it what? Unalienable. See, then you just got tricked. But it's unalienable. You cannot be lean.
call it alien.
Right. But that is actually that you cannot be leaned upon. What is a lien? A garnishment, a claim against you, a suit. Well, if I have unalienable rights or unalienable rights, then how can you do that to me? Exactly. Not when you're your natural person. Not when you're a natural being. They can if you don't never state that you denial of corporate status. Denial of corporate status means that you have to make a separation between the flesh and blood entity and the what? Straw man, the corporation. Because they use the corporation as a front to dictate policy to you. I'll show you. Let's go to slave.
What do you gain by putting a bracket around your zip code?
Well, it's just a form of stating that you are not part of the Federal District of Columbia enclave. Meaning that this does not mean, just because you put it there under TDC, that you are part of this. You are simply making a recognition of the fact that these 5 numerals are utilized for such and such. The brackets itself actually cuts off the fact of, quote unquote, their mastership,
Oh, yeah, okay.
their jurisdiction. Okay? So let me go ahead. Slave, a person who is wholly subject to the will of another, one who has no freedom of action, but whose person, your body, and services are wholly under the control of another, one who is under the power of a master, and who belongs to him, so that the master may sell and dispose of his person, of his industry, and of his labor, without him being able to do anything, have anything, or acquire anything, but what must belong to his master. That's how the corporations have us. They are the masters, but yet, according to the Constitution, especially here in North Carolina, it states that the sovereignty lies within the people. We're supposed to be the masters, not the damn corporations. But the masters, which are actually the people, have been giving up their rights and accepting privileges instead. All right, let's go to master. You hear the slave. Okay, master. A principal who employs another to perform services in his affairs, who control or has right to control physical conduct of another in performance of the service. One having authority, one who rules, directs, instructs, and superintends, a head or chief, an instructor, an employee, or an employer, applies to several judicial officers. All right? So, you hear the master relationship here. They control the affairs and the rights of the physical conduct of others. And they give you, those who have that power, or do it, a head, or chief, or instructor, or employer, who superintends, instructs, directs, or rules. All right? It applied to several judicial officers. Who's a judicial officer?
Judges.
A judge.
Prosecutors.
You go to court, you better write a notice of special appearance. Because if it's general appearance, then you just went in jurisdiction. And they will create this master-slave relationship. If you have not stated that you have a denial of corporate status.
We know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So, I'm just saying,
real.
This is real. And so we are still slaves, especially when we have not written affidavits in which that states our status and our nationality. Let's look up nationality, and let me explain to you why it's so important. Because many would tell you that nationality isn't important. It is if you've been classified as 3/5 of a human being. Okay? The Dred Scott case decision specifically states that you can never be a United States citizen and will never be. If I look up the word citizen here in the Black's Law Dictionary, you will see that it states that there are those who are not citizens. And then it says those of African descent are not citizens of the United States. So, if you're not a citizen of the United States, who are you? Because the United States, according to United States Title Code 18, states that the United States is the 40-mile radius of Washington, D.C. Meaning that you will be an employee of the government.
Corporation.
Bingo, i.e. corporation.
Corporate America.
Bingo. Nationality, that quality or character which arises from the fact of a person's belonging to a nation or state. So your nationality give you what? Your nationhood. That's what a nationality does, is give you your nationhood. Which means that it takes you from being a stateless classified person, which is a 3/5 of a human being. Because a 3/5 of a human being is a subhuman. That's a monster. That's a beast.
A lot of people spanning on what we already talked about with the difference between Haiti and New Orleans. People are talking about it's been this many thousand days since New Orleans, but it's been only some 30-something days since the Haiti.
Right.
And they're talking about so-called people wondering why wasn't Haiti helped?
Well, it's real simple.
What New Orleans helped?
Right. It's real simple. One has a nationality, one does not. Those in Katrina did not have a nationality. Barbara Bush got on TV and laughed at the situation. She specifically stated that, well, it was probably better that this happened because they needed help, and she laughed it off. And what she was referring to was the fact of them having to leave Louisiana and come into Texas. They went from saying that the Louisiana people were evacuees to referring to them as refugees. The word refugee means to leave one country and go into another country seeking asylum. That's the definition of a refugee. You hear that? Now, based on the fact that Haitians has a nationality, all right. Matter of fact, it's been reported that the Haitian people been asking for people to come over and help in order to reclaim their nationality. Now the fact is that we don't have a nationality, so that means that we must have to claim it.
They were saying global nationality.
Well, global nationality. All right. Well, that's what we're going for. That's why we have the United Nations, global nationality. But nationality determines the political status. You hear that? Of the individual, especially with reference to allegiance, while domicile determines his civil status. Nationality arises either by birth or by naturalization. Who is naturalized? Any and everyone who comes over here. You've never been naturalized. You never had to be. Why? Because you are the original inhabitants of North America. But you have been politically made to look and be amnesic. In other words, no nationality do you know about? People say that you're African American, but Africa has over 53 countries. Which one you come from? And there's hundreds of tribes within each of those countries. Which one you come from? America, there's 4 Americas. You got North America, Central America, South America, and the adjoining islands called the American. So you saying you were African American? Well, good guy. Yes, you are global people, and you have lived in all of those areas. But the pinpoint of nationality, it doesn't give you one. It just doesn't give you one. But let's continue on. And it's very important because nationality determines the political status of the individual. Nationality arises either by birth or by naturalization. According to Savage, nationality is also used as opposed to territoriality for the purpose of distinguishing the case of a nation having no national territory, i.e. the Jews. The Jews didn't have a nationality or a place to establish nationality until 1948, in which they formed what was called the State of Israel. You see? Okay? Now, so nationality determines your political status. Your status is now what? 3/5 of a human being. Because you have no nationality. You haven't reclaimed it. So weak. Once again, 3/5 of a human being is a subhuman. The word is cattle. The French word is chattel. Chattel property. That's what you are labeled as. Your chattel papers is your birth certificate. Let's see. Let's look up the word chattel. See, when we hear the word chattel, they're not telling you that it's a nice little French word that means cattle. And like herds, we are led to the slaughter.
Local chattel property corporations lost. Devil's toss. I self-lord and master's boss.
Chattel, an article of personal property. Any species of property not amounting to a freehold or fee in land. So nationality ties you back to land. Being that you're stateless, you have no land to connect to. Because that's the way they made you. Not telling you the truth is that you own more than 3/4 of the United States. Continue on. Things which in law are deemed personal property, they are divisible into chattel, real, and chattels, personal. The term chattel is a more comprehensive one than goods. So see, chattel is goods. So you are nothing more than goods at this state. 3/4 of a human being, subhuman, chattel, cattle, that's a good. It includes animated as well as inanimated property. You hear that? Is your physical body animation? Mm-hmm. Word anima means spirit. Energy. In a device, however, they may be of the same import. You hear that? In a device. In other words, somebody devising a plan for you. they may be the same import, animated or inanimated. That's what slavery was about. Chattel property, slavery. An animate object, your physical body, inhibiting the spirit, was used as goods, commodities, to make someone a master money. But that's if you stay in this state. That's what this book is about. The Negro, the Black, the Moor. If you want to stay Negro, Black, and colored, then you will be 3/5 of a human being.
Put in the lights more.
That will be your classification. That is your status. And remember, they tell you that Negro, Blacks, and coloreds, African Americans, that you are second-class citizens.
Who's that by?
Your citizenship is your status. This is by Romani Aminu Il.
Shaky cam.
You got it?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay. Now, we went over last week Negro, Black, and Colored in the Black's Law Dictionary. Basically, what it comes up to, roughly, no substance. Having no rights that the court is bound to respect. The word colored means imitation. Appear to be real, but isn't. These are the definitions for Negro, Blacks, and coloreds. So they tell you that this shit is imaginary. That is appears to be real, but isn't. Well, that means that that is nothing more than colorable law. So they have you in a colorable status.
It was
not
colorable
a real
law.
status. Colorable law. Let's look it up. It's also called color of law. Let's read. Color of law. The appearance or semblance without the substance of the legal right. So you have no legal right. You have no substance. But what does that mean? That means a person who is under colorable of law, who is colored, because guess what? You go to the next page and look at the word colored, it says, by common usage in America, this term is such phrases as colored persons, the colored race, the colored men, and the likes is used to designate Negroes, or persons of the African race, including all persons of mixed blood descent from Negro ancestry. But where a state constitution provides for separation of schools for whites and colored races, the term white race was held to be limited to the Caucasian race, and the term colored race to embrace all other races. It has also been held that there is no legal technical significance to the phrase colored person, which the courts are bound judicially to know. So the courts can't see you. Who watch wrestling? Who know John Cena? When he goes like this, you can't see me. You might as well do the same thing, Negro, when you're in court. Because they will start adjudicating if you don't stop the proceedings and ask to establish jurisdiction. Right now, you can't state or establish jurisdiction in court because you don't have no status. You're subhuman, and they're going to treat you as such when you go in there. Why you think the courtroom is full of us? Every time we go to court, 98% of the courtroom is us. I know, I done been there enough in order to see. In damn near 4 or 5 counties in this, just around in this area. Harnett County, Lee County, Cumberland County, Wake County. None but us up in that piece. 98%.
Can jurisdiction be established prior to court?
By you writing your affidavits and getting them put within your court case. You would want to send a copy, supposedly, by the clerk of court. You would want to send one to the prosecutors or the DA, and you would want to also send one to the judge to his chambers. That way, everybody's been put on notice of your status, of your nationality, that you're all Class 1A status. In other words, you are classified as Number one. Your classification is not second-class citizenship. It is first-class citizenship. Actually, it's a step even above that. Okay?
Would you then become an American citizen?
Yes. American national. Means that basically you're not a state citizen and you're not part of the quote-unquote enclave of the 40-mile radius of Washington, D.C. Your status is above both of those status. Because you are part of the preamble of the Constitution. We the people. The word we the people means, for those that might remember, we broke down this in the movie, Avatar. Word Lenape means we the people. The nappy-headed ones. And the one who was nappy-headed was John Hanson, who was the first president of the United States of America under the Articles of Confederation. He helped put together the constitutions. The Declaration of Independence, the Article of Confederation, the Articles of Association, as well as also later on the information in which that was drafted into what became known as the United States Constitution of the United States, of the Constitution of the United States of America. For America, excuse me. Of America is the later one, and then of course now they just got the United States Constitution. There's 3 constitutions according to the way in which that they have all been amended. But if we declared our nationality, we would have never have had the 13th, 14th Amendment, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment necessary. It would never have been necessary for us. See, you gotta go back to the movie Roots. They show you in there that there was a different classification. You had those who was on somebody else's property, who was the overseer, who was the master, who dictated policy to them. They didn't know how to write, they didn't know how to read, and didn't care to. Most of them. Right. They wanted to make master happy, so they played a lot of music on the fiddles. And you go back and watch the movie. Matter of fact, the nigga name was Fiddler.
Yeah.
And that's how much he played. And the other one was called Chicken George.
Yeah, Chicken George.
Chicken George was the dancer. The tap dancer.
Doing a stinky lady.
Fiddler was the, yeah, doing a stinky lady. The other one was the fiddler. He was getting down on that fiddle. Right? But then you got to go to the part where this black man, free black man or more, and his son is in their own horse and buggy. He can read. You know how we know he can read? Because they asked him to show his papers.
Yeah.
He pulls out his papers. Show it to the guy who's the overseer, who's looking for, he's looking for my man to cut off that foot, Toby. Okay? He's looking for Toby. The Kunta Kinte. You know what I'm saying? Who became Toby. He's looking for him now because he's going to cut that daggone foot off when he finds him. But in the meantime, he go past the brother and his son. He hands him his paper. He looks at it, read it, give it back to him, and continue on about his business. Nobody explains what the hell did that free nigga show and knew when this other nigga is on the run, getting ready to get his damn foot cut off. Nobody explains that. Alex Haley don't explain it. Alex Haley was a 32nd degree Mason. I asked Alex Haley these questions when he came to Philly State University. He looked at me and didn't give me not one damn answer. He had like I didn't even exist. He just damn took the book, signed it, continue on. He not answering none of the questions. The question I asked, well, look, you Christian, your relatives was Islamic. At least you show Toby or Kunta Kinte getting off the ship, speaking Arabic, praying to Allah 5 times a day. Okay? You showed this. Now, Toby all of a sudden can't remember a damn lick of Arabic. You know what I'm saying? Only thing he knows is that he's trying to get away. But you show the Islamic influences on your people. Have you ever gone back and studied Islam to that in depth? You must tell me nothing. Okay. Well, Mr. Haley, I know that you also a Mason. Would that have anything to do with that? Because I understand that Masonry is basically the acceptance of all world religions or, spiritual schools. No answer. Okay, I see right now I can't get no answers from this dude. Okay? A few months later, he died. With the answers that I needed. But because he wouldn't give them to me, that didn't stop me from looking. It's real simple. The reason why he showed that scene was to distinguish the Negro, blacks, and coloreds from the Moor. What is it that the Moor has that gave him the right to travel in his own horse and buggy, be able to read, be able to be free without the overseers and the masters being able to put him back in slavery or to put him in slavery? He had his papers. I remember when we started teaching on this information, we had people to come through the door. Yeah, we heard that y'all do the freedom papers. Freedom papers. It's a good God Almighty. Boy, I know I'm in the South now. Then ask me about some freedom papers. To me, that was funny because we never referred to them as freedom papers. But essentially, that was not wrong. That was right. These are your freedom papers. Because it gives you a status. It gives you a nationality. It gives you a way not to be able to go into jurisdiction in their courtrooms. Because you have the right, as your own nation, to devise and put together your own court system. Interesting thing. Me and Mr. Matthews, he's my lawyer. Mr. Matthews been a lawyer for over 30 years now. Mr. Matthews took a case for me a few years ago. About 3 years now? About 3 years? Roughly? Yeah. We was in court. You know what I'm saying? Basically, me and Mr. Matthews went over what, he's going to say to the judge or whatever. And a lot of people don't get that from their lawyers. But Mr. Matthews, we did it, and he got up there and he started breaking it down to the judge, and he was like, basically, well, he's indigenous to this land, Your Honor, so forth and so on. She took her hands and raised back like this. Now, I don't know, this is Masonic right here. She did the distress sign, and she said, I have no jurisdiction in this matter. She asked Mr. Matthews, well, how do you want me to proceed? Mr. Matthews looked at me. It basically told me to come on up. Okay, this is time for me to find out what's going on. But basically, she ended up saying, they have their own court that we can transfer this case to. Did you hear what I just said? The judge stated, does he have a court? Is there a Native American court that he can transfer this case to? So we have the right to form our own court system. To have our own judges, our own prosecutors or DAs. And this is something in which that we don't have to wait in order to do. It's about studying the law. Shoot, this is already, you know what I'm saying? Guess what? We had our own court system up until 1956. Eisenhower abolished it. It was called the consular courts. Consular. The consular courts.
Counselor.
Right, the counselor courts.
Why did he abolish it for?
Because you accepted civil rights in 1955 following Martin Luther King ass. That was the whole ploy. To give you privileges disguised as civil rights. Once again, if it's a right, you don't need nobody or master to vote on your rights. That's something that's natural. But you do if you only have mere privileges. Someone has to vote. Someone has to. Let me show you. Let's look up the difference between privilege. Okay? Let's look at the word privilege. Privilege, a particular or peculiar benefit or privilege enjoyed by a people, company, or class beyond the common advantages of other Beyond the common advantages of other citizens. Is it really? An exceptional or extraordinary power or exemption, a right, power, franchise, or immunity held by a person or class against or beyond the course of the law. An exemption from some burden or attendance, in which certain persons are indulged from a position of law that the station they fill or the offices they are engaged in as such is required all their time and care, and that therefore without this indulgence it would be impractical to execute such office to the advantage which the public goods require. That which relates one from the performance of the duty or obligation, and exempt one from a liability which he otherwise be required to perform or sustain in common with all other persons. A particular advantage, exemption, or immunity. All right? That is what is stated as a privilege. All right? That's what is stated as a privilege. So this privilege is supposed to give you an advantage. But what is the advantage of other people coming over here being able to vote and never have the right, or civil rights as they call it for you, to what? Because the civil rights for you means that somebody has to vote on it. The President of the United States has to vote on your rights every 25 years. But guess what? The other people don't have that problem. Nobody has to vote for them. You see? Nobody has to sign any bills for them. So why are you the only one in this country that has to have someone to sign a bill for you? You understand? Mm-hmm. So it's supposed to be a privilege. It's supposed to give you the ability in order to not to be liable. But guess what? Not being liable or responsible or accountable makes you a slave. You see? Once again, because somebody is dictating policies and ruling you. So the President and Congress has to sign this bill every 25 years to give you the ability in order to vote in the country in which that they claim that you're a citizen. That doesn't make any sense to me. Or otherwise, as it states that you're not a citizen. All right? Let's go to citizen. Do you have your paperwork in here? The one that I have with the citizen in here? Because I think that was from the 6th edition.
Okay, I'm right there.
Now check this out. This is interesting. Citizen. A corporation is a citizen of the state under whose law it is created and a non-resident of every other state. A corporation is a citizen of the state?
That's the Erie Railroad case.
Say again. Say that.
That's the Erie Railroad case, giving rise to the existence of a corporation, a non-being, as a human being in terms of rights as a person.
That case was after the 14th Amendment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Now, citizen is also say a member of a nation or body politic of the sovereign state or political society who owes allegiance. So, I'm a Washington. My allegiance is to my Washingtonians because the United States states that I can never be a citizen and will never be. So I am now forced to get outside of the 3/5 status to reclaim a nation. So I can have nationhood. So I will not be stateless and classified as such. But interestingly, let's continue on. A member of the civil state entitled to it all its privileges. A constituted member of the sovereignty synonymous with the people. Okay? It goes on. Now it says that a state cannot become a citizen. So a corporation is considered a citizen, but a state cannot become a citizen. That's interesting because a state is incorporated though. If you go to any courthouse, they tell you state so-and-so incorporated 17 something. That's interesting.
What about ratified? They also use the term ratified.
or
Okay.
established.
Or established. Exactly. That might be the reason. Because they use the word establish or founded. But it's still an incorporation.
When they, I'm sorry, you had a question.
No, no.
But when
Yeah,
they
he said
estab-
ratified. Let me see that.
when they established the 14th Amendment, they said it was for black folks, but mostly corporations went before the Supreme Court.
Right.
Do we know about any of those cases involving black folks when they, after they passed the 14th Amendment?
After they passed the 14th Amendment.
Turner versus Wade.
Supposedly,
I mean, just what
the
the subject
14th
matter
Amendment was never fully ratified. That's what Mike is talking about. It was never fully ratified. At the time, it went before 19 states. Only 15 states. It went before 4 approved, 15 denied. North Carolina was one of them. But hold up. If I'm not mistaken, there's 50 states. Sometimes they count Puerto Rico. But think about it. If there's 50 states, you only took before 19, and it was 200 years ago, and you never took it before the rest of the growing population of states. In other words, 19 states out of 50 states leave how many?
31.
Thank you. So there's 31 states that you did not take it before. 31 states, it never went before. And then the 19 that you did take it before, 15 of them denied it. So that means that it was never fully ratified. So guess what? Technically, it's never passed. So guess what? It puts you back in the Dred Scott case status once again. You can never be classified as a United States citizen. Why? Because the 14th Amendment supposedly gave you citizenship. But if it was never fully ratified, how is that possible? When we called the passport agency, the lady told us that you are not a citizen. We know that. But you want this passport, don't you? That's what she said. Ask my wife. I was on the phone, she was on the phone, and we was laughing because we was like, yo. She told us the truth. Yes, we know you're not citizens, but you want this passport, don't you? I don't have to say no more after that statement. She verified that we're not citizens. But you want this privilege, don't you? Now, do privileges supersede rights? No. And that's the problem that is going on. They're taking privileges and they're attempting to supersede them as your rights. Let's look up rights, because we just read privilege. Rights. A noun taken into an abstract sense, justice, ethnical correctness, or consonant with the rules of law, or the principles of morals. In this significance, it answers to one meaning in Latin, jus. It serves to indicate law in the abstract, considered as the foundation of all rights, or the complex of underlying moral principles, which imparts the character of justice to all positive law, or gives it ethnical content. Okay? So, a right is in which that, you notice, a privilege has nothing to do with morals, have nothing to do with justice. Did you hear those words in that definition? Has nothing to do with it. But a right is something which that you morally have. That you morally have. It's a natural right. Natural law. Natural rights is based on natural law. Okay? Supreme law of the land is based on law now. It's not just the Constitution, but the Constitution which is based in natural law. That is positive law. If you read the laws of nations, all right, which I recommend that you do, it specifically states that the laws of nations is based on natural law. That's what it states. So you learn morals by looking at what? Nature. Mm-hmm. That's what you do. That's how you learn law.
Man-made law.
So man-made laws are privileges. Rights are not. Those are God-given. Those are natural rights.
Like any identification card, it lists privilege. It's on your driver's license,
Exactly.
ID, military ID.
Exactly. All that is a privilege. So there's a difference between privilege, because a privilege is something in which that is given to you, is dictated once again by some other corporation or dictatorship. A right cannot be, because it's based on morality, justice. The definition for a right is justice. Mr. Matthews told us a couple of years ago, he said he might have heard the word justice mentioned twice in the courtroom out his whole time being there.
probably said one of those.
Oh, you said it. Exactly. So right here, Black's Law Dictionary, citizen. Read this. All natives are not citizens of the United States. Did you hear what I just said? All natives are not citizens of the United States. Who are these natives? The descendants of the Aborigines and those of African origin are not entitled to the rights of citizens. This is in the Black's Law Dictionary under the definition of citizen. That Constitution does not authorize any but white persons to become citizens of the United States, and it must therefore be presumed that no one is a citizen who is not white. But it specifically classifies you as not being one in the definition in Black's Law Dictionary. Why to pinpoint you specifically? It states that you are all part of the natives, though, of African descent.
Aborigines.
Thank you. You are the Aborigines, or the Aboriginal people here. So you cannot be classified as a citizen, because you was never naturalized. You never went to the Staten Island, not Staten Island, but
Ellis
Statue,
Island.
yeah, Ellis Island to the Statue of Liberty and got naturalized. None of your relatives went there when they came over from Africa. That's where they alleged that you came from 400 years ago. But your ancestry don't come from Ellis Island and them coming in, going to the Statue of Liberty, and get naturalized, or get naturalized in Washington, D.C., or any other place. You've never been naturalized, because you are nature. How can you naturalize something in which that is nature itself? You are the natural being of this planet. You're the oldest people on this planet. So you can't be naturalized. I'm sorry. It can't be done. Because you are the most natural thing here. So, they got you in this status. A natural person, this is what it reads. A natural person is indigenous, native, the original or natural inhabitant of a country, or of relating to birth, a natural child. Once again, Black's Law Dictionary, 7th edition. Natural person is indigenous, native, the original, or natural inhabitant. So you are the natural inhabitants of of the Americas. So you don't have to be naturalized, because you're already part of nature itself. You was the original people that was here. This is their definition. This isn't mine. This is Black's Law Dictionary. So they tell you that a natural person is indigenous. Hold on, let me read the United Nations definition of indigenous for you, so you can understand even more of what we're talking about. Because the United Nations have laws now in which that establishes your rights as being indigenous people. It's called the Declaration of Indigenous Rights. United States Inter-American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People states, in this declaration, indigenous people are those who embody historical continuancy with societies which exist prior to the conquest and settlement of their territories by Europeans. Ta-da. As well as people brought involuntarily to the New World who freed themselves and re-established the culture from which they've been torn. So that means, even if you say you're from Africa, buddy, just 400 years ago, the fact that you brought your behind here and mixed in with the indigenous people here, and you still black, or what we refer to as Moor, or they refer to as Negro, Blacks, and Colored, you are still part of the original or indigenous people. Why? Because 85% of your ancestry is right here in North America or in the Western Hemisphere. It is not from just Africa 400 years ago. We got documentation that we've been here at least 2 million years. The Twa people has been documented in the book of the Children of Mu, written by James Churchward, that we was here 2 million years ago in the Western Hemisphere. Now we bring it on down. The Washita states that we was here 100,000 years ago in the Western Hemisphere. The Folsoms out of Arizona, who are so-called black people, state that they was here 75,000 years. Well, this is long before anybody else was on the planet. Of course, 75,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, 2 million years ago, there was only us. There was no Orientals. There was no Albion or white man or Europeans, as you would say. They did not exist at that time. This is a new creation that only goes back 6,000 years ago. According to the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, the Moorish Science Temple of America, according to the Nation of Islam, according to the Hebrew Israelites, according to everybody in which that's documented and done put this information out. So this is way before anybody else was on the planet. We was already here in this Western Hemisphere, documented, and they state that we were. And these are Albions writing these books. They write these books. Check this out now. This is interesting. Because they say self-identification as indigenous or tribal shall be regarded as the fundamental criteria for determining the group to which the provision of this declaration applies. You have to do it. This is self-identification. You have to identify yourself as being the original people, being indigenous, being a natural person, so that you can fall under natural rights, human rights, indigenous rights, and outside the scope of just civil rights, which is actually a privilege. You have to do this. It says the use of the term peoples in this instrument shall not be construed as having any implication with respects to the other rights that might be attached to this term in natural law, in international law. The reason why, because they take the term person and peoples and make them a corporation. So they have to specifically state that you cannot construe this to mean a corporation. This is what they're telling them in this last line. Okay? Check this out. 1936, Webster Universal Dictionary states the term American. Listen to this. An American, an aboriginal, or one of the various copper-colored natives found on the American continents by the Europeans. The original application of the name Maru. We got a few pennies here. What is that?
Where is it?
Exactly, where is it? Because this is supposed to be copper, a copper penny. You got to show me if I'm not part of the original people in that definition of American. That one
Where's the penny at?
That one will. Now you know we get the shiny pennies. I put them on Mike. I don't got none of them though. You got any pennies, baby? We can do everybody up in here. You know what I'm saying? What about you, brother Bill? Let's see how that looks on you, bro.
This is a copper test. Oh no, put it back in range. Put it back down. Put it back down.
Where's that though?
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
where's that?
There we go. Yeah. Forget the brown bag test. We're gonna do the copper test.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna do the copper test.
Brown
Gonna
bags
be
for South
Duracell
Africa.
batteries up in here.
You know, I found out that my mother was Melungian, so I looked it up.
No, Melungian is Washita, more.
Check this out. They said that they are from Persia, Morocco, and Turkey. Could be from either place. Plus indigenous to this planet. It says that. And it says they were Muslims.
Right. Exactly. It was Moors.
Yeah.
It was Moors. So, we are the copper-toned, skin-colored natives, Americans. This is according to their definition. Now, I don't write Webster's dictionary. I did not write Black's Law Dictionary. You gotta get it Campbell, Joseph Campbell Black. I think that was his name. You gotta get it him, for writing the Black's Law Dictionary. Even though I was told once by a judge that he don't go by the Black's Law Dictionary. So my wife asked him, well, what law dictionary you go by? He never answered. Well, I'm like, well, shoot, you got the Ballantine Law Dictionary, you got the Durham Law Dictionary, you have the Bouvier's Law Dictionary. It don't matter. They got the same definitions up in there too.
Talking about the same Joseph Campbell, The Power of Myth.
No, not him.
Oh.
This is Joseph Campbell Black. His name is Black.
Oh, okay, Joseph Campbell. Okay.
Matter of fact, what's the Law Dictionary? Right here. Oh, go to the front for me. His name, I think it's Joseph Campbell Black or Joseph Black. Should be on the next page. Is that him? Is his
Henry
name?
Campbell Black.
Henry Campbell Black. Excuse me.
Okay.
Henry Campbell Black. All right. Make sure we get that. All right. So this is their definition. Now listen to this fact. This is from the Charlotte Observer. This is from the newspaper clip, Charlotte Observer, dated Sunday, August the 15th, 1993. States that North Carolina in 1690 reports the presence of Moors, and that they are the ancestors of a people erroneously called Melungians. Brother, didn't you just say that?
Had to do that for the record.
Once again, this is 1690. This is before the Constitution. This is before the Articles of Confederation. This is before the Articles of Association. This is when the natives controlled the land, who was the last remnants of the Ottoman Empire, which is also the Songhai Empire from out of West Africa. The Songhai Empire was the mixture of Ghana, Mali, and the upper portions of what we refer to now as Mauritania and Morocco. They established empires right here in the Americas. So in 1690, we was here. The Moors. Right here. It goes on to say, what they never told you in history class. The first Americans were blacks. An ancient Egyptian and Chinese in America. It states that the blacks began his career in America not as a slave, but as master. You better get back to being a master. That's what I recommend. They had to give it back anyway. Why do you think Obama is in there? Because they have to give it back. Shriners already stepped to the Moors and already told them that we're glad that y'all waking up. In Suzor Economics, the history of Pan-African trade, commerce, money, and health. These blacks found in America. Scholars such as Ivan von Sertima, from They Came Before Columbus, asserts that Egyptians and Nubians came to Mexico in the pre-Columbian period. Those are Moors. And it states, the Nuers, the Dankas, the Nubas are the remnants of the once powerful Kushite Empire. So not only is the Songhai Empire in the west, it was an extension of the Kushite Empire in the east. That's what they refer to as the Ottoman Empire. That included Sudan, Ethiopia, Egypt, Somalia. Both the Nura and the Nuba show cultural and racial characteristics that is also found in Olmec sculptures. the Dankas, the Nubas, the Nura, the Nubians, the Kemites, which is the Egyptians, spread to West Africa in ancient times as migration from Sudan and South Egypt occurred over a period of time when upheaval occurred. The mound builders, they are dark-skinned, woolly-head blacks who were indigenous to North America, the kin to the Olmecs of South America. The Olmecs and Washita, black Californians, the Yamasees, and other pre-Columbian blacks of America were part of a prehistorical trade network that began in Africa and spread it worldwide over 100,000 years ago at various periods in time.
What is that you're reading from?
That was from Sousa. That's what it's called. Sousa Economics, the history of Pan-African trade, commerce, money, and health. These blacks found in the Americas. And this leads me on to the end of our topic, which is actually the UCC itself, because that deals with commerce. And if you notice, we was already doing worldwide trade 100,000 years ago. So we have to become the navigators of the 7 seas once again. So here, this is my Declaration of Nationality. This is how it looked at the time in 2003.
We get
It
it
was real simple, a one-pager.
Hold up.
As you see, it was signed by Joanna Hicks, who's the clerk of Superior Court in Fulton County in Georgia. The book and page number is 37419, page 714. De facto incorrect name is Leander Jerome Dancy, and now the name is Osardo Alim El-Bey. Declare that I am a free and sovereign individual of the land of the ancient mound builders, known indigenous name Empire Washington Deduct the Money, which is an off branch of the Empire Kushite Empire, the Songhai Empire, and the Ottoman Empire. I willingly and knowingly exercise my rights to a nationality. As a member of the indigenous imperial Washita nation of the United Washita Deduct the Money, I further reserve all of the fundamental freedoms and God-given rights of every human being upon this earth. Any and all past or present political affiliations implied by operation of the law or otherwise with foreign entities are hereby now and forever dissolved and revoked. Signed and witnessed the 5th day of June 2003. Okay? And then it's signed by two chiefs, and it was filed in Fulton County. Okay? And I'm pass this around so you can see. So I claimed the nationality 7 years ago as being Washita. Why? Because I didn't have one. And it was very important to do so I can tie myself back to the land. Look up the word land for me, please. And listen to this definition. Well, my wife is looking up land.
Land.
Okay.
In the most general sense, it comprehends any ground, soil, or earth whatsoever, as fields, meadows, pastures, woods, moors, waters, marshes, furzies, and heaths.
So the word moor automatically ties you back to land. Automatically! That's why we don't use the word Negro, black, and color, because it ties you to nothing. There is no land called Negro land, black land, African American land. What the hell is that? There is no colored land. Only the word Moor ties you back to land. So why would you want to be Moors?
Bless you.
Thank you.
In the definition of land is the word Moors. This is the extended one, in which that is the Declaration of Nationality, which that I put on record here in North Carolina. That was in Georgia. I put one here in North Carolina also, right in Wake County. In this one, I specifically state that I'm not 3/5 of a human being. That I'm not Negro, black, and colored. That I am a Washita tribal Moor. Moor by nationality, by my tribe, Washita. Okay? Pass that around. Also, I'm passing around my certificate of citizenship, which ties me directly back to being a Moor through my citizenship. Washita Moor once again. You will see raised seals from the Clerk of Superior Court on my pages. And you will see the file number at the top of the page. This is where we filed at in Wake County Courthouse on the 11th floor. This is my name change, my common law name change. We do not go before this a judge in order to get our name changed. So we do not pay $50 to do this. $3 is what we pay to do this. It's a common law name change. You will see the file number here. Once again, at the Clerk of Superior Court, Wake County. The file number at the top. You see I changed my name from the former free national name of Leander Jerome Dancy El-Bey to my autonomous, indigenous, aboriginal, Moor Appalachian, Asado Alim Nu Tupac El-Bey. And my ex-religious name is Leander Jerome Dancy. All right? You see, it's mimicked the same forms. You will notice that it mimics the exact same forms as what they already have. Right. It mimics the forms. But we refer to this as a name correction, not a name change. Because I'm not changing anything. I am as I always was. Right. I found myself. You know what I'm saying? You know, amazing grace. Amazing grace.
Right.
How
Freedom and liberty.
The sound that save a wretch like me.
Slave Master's hymn.
I was lost, now found. You get that?
Be careful, somebody might auto-tune that shit, yeah.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, be careful.
Damn. All right, but anyway, here they go again. See how it has changed. Raised seal once again on the paperwork. File number and everything at Wake County Courthouse, along with the file number. And then the last page here, common law order and certificate of name correction. And I use the North Carolina General Statute 4-1, would give you the right of common law, because that is the general statute for common law in North Carolina. Is North Carolina General Statute 4-1, in which that makes North Carolina a common law state. So why you don't have the right to do a common law name correction? You do. But they want you to go through the court in order to pay the judge $50. You know, probably some of that money that you pay the judge become part of his 801k. See, most niggas they might, work in corporate America, they got a 401k, but the judge got a 801.
Double.
Yeah, double, right? Double, right? He got an 801. And I'm not joking, that's for real. He basically make a commission.
Off of it, yeah.
That's right. Off of those bonds. And I know that because the judge told me, after I told him that was my autograph, he did it 3 times. Matter of fact, it was the same judge that we went in front of today, from out of Lee County, but he was in Harnett County today. He was like, "Sir, is this your signature?" I said, "No, this is my autograph." "Is this your signature?" "No, that's my autograph." "Is this your signature?" "No, that's my autograph." I won't put a bond on me. He couldn't put a bond on me because I stated underneath my name that I was the authorized representative. The reason why is because authorized representative, UCC 1-308, means that I have superior claim over that entity, which is that straw man or slave. I am the master. You know what I'm saying? Like Show Enough on Last Dragon. Who's the master? Leroy, Bruce Lee, kiss my Converse, sucker. But he kept asking him, who's the master?
Once we
Kept
make
asking
our
him.
declaration, are we then operating under international law or domestic?
Both. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
Say that one more. Restate that.
You're part and parcel.
Alim, you state what you state the question he asked.
Oh, brother Bill asked the question. Do we now operate under, once we get the paperwork filed, do we now operate under domestic or international law? Both. Because domestic means national law. Well, according to the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution of the United States, you now do not go by Article 1, Section 2. You have now reclassified yourself, and you now is part of Article 6, which means that you deal with treaties. The treaties are the supreme law of the land. The treaties in which that Bush, Cheney, Obama, and all of them would tell you that is the longest standing treaty is the Treaty of Morocco, peace and friendship. They have told us this over the last. Oh, you want me to put it up here?
I mean, you got the pamphlet up there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship. This specifically dealt with Moors and Europeans, or Muslims and Europeans, or Christians, in commerce. That's what this was for. For we can deal in trade equally, so that nobody's rights will be violated, so that there would not be war. Why? Because the Moroccans are the first ones to recognize the United States of America as a nation. And guess what? It wasn't the Moroccans over there from this little kingdom called Morocco in Africa. It was you, the Al-Moroccans or the El-Mexians, was here in the United States. That was part of the Ottoman Empire, the Songhai Empire, the Kushite Empire, called the Empire Washko di Manya, the Lenape. You gave them land grants. That's how they formed the 13 colonies. And guess what? Those land grants was up in 2004. So you have no right but to reclaim what is yours now. You have nothing to do but to claim it. How do you claim it? Well, let's see. Number one, on your straw man, you will place a copyright on it.
Hold that back in all this one.
All right? On your straw man, which is your birth name, as well as also your indigenous name spelled in all caps. You will place a copyright, trademark, trade name on it. Once again, this is filed at Wake County Courthouse, Clerk of Superior Court. This is called the Certified True Copy from Original, Clerk of Superior Court, Wake County, by Joyce, Assistant Deputy of the Clerk of Superior Court, February 2008. February 1st, 2008. The number is 06R554. So this is my birth name plus what is referred to as my surname now, which is El-Bey, when I utilize the name Leander Jerome Dancy El-Bey or Leander Dancy El-Bey. We put all variations when it comes to your copyrights. So whether it's my birth name, whether it's my name of El-Bey, or whatever the case is, it is now documented in this copyright. All right, now let's look up the word copyright and why it's important. Please look up the copyright and trademark, trade name for me, please. Let's find out why it's important. Because this all goes back to how you can go back into commerce now. All right.
The right of a literary property as recognized and sanctioned by positive law. An intangible.
Go that word again, positive law.
Yeah. An intangible, incorporeal right granted by statutes to the author or generator of certain literacy or artistic productions, whereby he is invested for a limited period with the sole and exclusive privilege of multiplying copies of the same and published and selling them.
So that means
International copyright is the right of the subject of one country to protect against the republication in another country of a work which he originally published in his own country. Sweet.
All right. So that means now that I have a copyright on my name, let's go to trade name, trademark. Because that's what this is: copyright, trademark, trade name, agreement, or affidavit. Okay. Trademark, trade name. Should be under the same one. Those two. I don't think y'all see that. Let me pass this around.
While she's looking, you file your paperwork with the county,
Register
the
of
state.
Deeds.
But what about,
Or the Clerk of Superior Court in the civil filing section.
is there someone the mowers file their paperwork with as
The
well?
Register of Deeds. Or the Clerk of Superior Court in the civil filing section.
But no one in the Moorish government, per se.
Yes, you do it with your You ain't supposed to know caps have been given a value. It's called your birth certificate, which is a bond. Interesting. Continue, please. Good God Almighty.
A trade name is a descriptive of the manufacturer or dealer for the protection in trade to avoid confusion in business and to secure the advantages of good reputation. And it is applied more to the goodwill of business than an identification of a product. Trade name.
That's it? Well, we just read some interesting things there. So, how do you secure the part where it says that the trade name is an entity in which that there's some type of value in which that's been put on it?
The one who first does it.
The one who first does it. You didn't do it because you was a baby or an infant. Matter of fact, they tell you that your mother and father was informants on the birth certificate. What does the word informant mean? Let's look that up right quick. And I only got 2 papers left, so it's going to end pretty soon here.
Let people know how they can get at you.
Oh, you can get at me at royalhouse777@gmail.com. You can also get at us through our websites, www.cultural-freedom.com. You can get at us at www.freewebs.com// cultural_freedom and another / All right.
Check it on Facebook.
Oh, you can also check us out on Facebook as well as also MySpace. All right. We on there too. Dr. Alim El-Bey. All right. Ready?
Informer. A person who informs or prefers an accusation against another, whom he suspects of a violation of some penal statute. A common informer is a common persecutor, a person who habitually ferrets out crimes and offenses and lays information therefore before the ministers of justice in order to set a persecution on foot, not because of their office or any special duty in the matter, but for the sake of the share or the fine or the penalty, which the law allows to the informer in certain cases, and used in a less invidious sense as designated persons who were authorized and empowering to bring action for penalties.
So what is the penalty of the mother and father giving birth to the child?
Why? What did the child do that was
Why?
penal?
What? The fact is, why is there a penalty
for being born?
for being born? There's a penalty.
Sin. Born in sin.
What? Is that the biblical? Christians do say that now, and this is a Christian country, and it says that they are Christians. Bush said it I don't know how many times in order to justify the Iraq war that this is a Christian country. So Christians believe that you were born in sin. Sin is a penalty or a violation against God. They tell you that birth out of wedlock is a what? It's a sin. That is a bastard child. But yet in the same regard, the only one that can give forth the spark of life is God. So that means that must have been designated as the time to bring forth or ordained. But they see it as a sin.
What is wedlock?
What is
Contract.
wedlock? Right.
Contract.
It's called wedlock. The lock is the ring and the contract. Because the finger symbolizes the phallus and the ring symbolizes the vagina. So they now become interlocked. The word wed is nothing more. Check this out. Wed is the word bed. The B is turned sideways, which becomes W. So wedding is the word bedding.
Consummate the wedding.
Consummate the wedding is to go to the bedding.
You better stop this stuff, man. Some people get up over this. They go home and beat their mama.
They better stop this.
The informant.
They're informant. I didn't write it. We just read it.
She didn't know.
She didn't know. So how do you come in control of these contracts in which that was first put out on you, but you didn't have a clue? You did not know. You did not know you was worth your weight in gold. We went over the other week, remember? You weighed 10 pounds. 10 pounds, 1 pound, 16 ounces, 10 pounds, $16,000 worth in gold, because gold right now is $1,000 an ounce. The bank get it, they mark it up 10 times the value, so it goes from 16,000 to 1.6 million. Oh, excuse me, 160,000, and they mark it up 10 times the value, so it becomes 1.6 million. So when they say that you were worth your weight in gold, is actually what they're referring to. So if you weighed over 5 pounds, going into 10 pounds, you was worth at least $650,000 to $1.6 million. So now they create a bond for you, called your birth certificate. The bond number is the number at the bottom in red. But you want the certificate number. That's the number that you want, because what you're going to do is what is called a UCC, one financial statement. We went over this the week before last. Correct. However, you must do one at a state level and also at a county level. Why? Because the county is where it got started at. If you was born in a different state, you would want to do it in the state of your birth. You also would want to do it in the state in which that you currently domicile. Or the regional branch for that region. For example, Kentucky is the southern regional branch for the southern states. So anyone who lives in Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, will want to do in the regional, which is Kentucky. All right? So here is my file number for me doing a UCC. My file number is 2008-2337461-06. And I put my name in all caps as the debtor. My birth name, Leander Jerome Dancy. It's called a SecTQ trust. By definition of Black's Law Dictionary, it states that I have a vested interest and right, an inherited right in this. Why? Because on this name, they took out that bond and made me a commodity. All right? Now, I put the secure party is the Moorish holy temple of science of the world. Why? Because we have that filed at the Secretary of State. And that is the secure party. Now, you have to put a collateral listing. I state that the collateral for my bond, which is that birth certificate, is $100 trillion. The debtor or the commercial dummy transmitting utility and a trust in commercial chambers under necessity. And the following property is hereby registered in the same. All certificates of birth, city, county, and state, City of New York, birth certificate number, and I give my birth certificate number, invoice number, which is also my birth certificate number, birth certificate document number, I give that, my birth certificate register number, I give that, or received by the City of the New York Department of Human Resources, Division of Health Services and Vital Record Branches and Statistics. All right, I state that all pigments, hypotheca, hereditism, rest, energy, DNA, saliva, blood, plasma, spinal fluid, etc., fingerprints, thumb, prints, etc., retina scans, photograph, pictures, drawings, videos, etc., and all proceedings, products, debentures, indentures, accounts, baggages, fixtures, orders, and pledges. Nuk po tunk. All right. UCC trust account number is my Social Security card. My employer's identification number is my Social Security card without the dashes. My employer's identification number is my Social Security without the dashes. My employer's identification number is my Social Security number. My exemption identification number is my security number without the dashes. My auto trace number without the dashes. My QSIP numbers without the dashes. And private bond number is the back of the Social Security card. And I have all of this listed. Why? Because it's a necessity to reclaim those contracts that you did not make, but you was part of. They made you part of these contracts. No, your name is spelled in upper and lower case, which makes or distinguish you in grammar as being the real live person. But they took that name and it made it appear as such. But according to Black's law, it states specifically Stromius homo. Please look that up. The straw man. Stromius homo. Was finished?
No. I was just leveling one out.
This is the last part.
Probably, maybe next class might probably go more in depth.
Yeah. Yeah, they should have made 2 weeks ago.
Romeo?
Right, Stromius homo.
Oh yes,
S-T-R-A.
a man of straw.
A man of straw.
One of no substance.
One of no substance.
Put forward as bail or surety.
Remember we read that the word colored has no substance or legal significance in a court of law that the court is judicially to know. So that means you being Negro, black, and colored, you have no substance. You are labeled as the straw man. Because the straw man was looking for what?
A brain?
A brain.
So for the
What was the tin man looking for?
A heart.
A heart. Hence the 3/5 of the human being classification is a Masonic code.
So
you don't have a brain and you don't have a heart. So there's 5 senses in which that is missing. Your ability to feel and your ability to what? Think.
So for the brothers and sisters, revolutionary brothers and sisters that having an issue with the Moors saying they're not black, after knowing this, they wouldn't want to be classified as black.
Well, we understand black in a cosmic sense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When we speak about melanin, we talk about a cosmic connection to the dark matter and the black energy in the universe, which is the glue that hold the planets, the asteroids, the comets, meteorites, you know what I'm saying, planetoids, all these things into, you know what I'm saying, it's the fiber, it's the glue. You know what I'm saying? It's like in Africa, they have a story of Anansi, the spider, in which that spun its web. That is symbolic to that glue, or the connection between planets and different other objects. All right, like for example, the moon have an influence upon the planet Earth. Every 28 days, it changed 7 phases, 4 times.
It's about to die right here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think I got that right. Or 7 phases, 4 times out there. So 7 times 4 is 28. Well, the woman's cycle, menstrual cycle, is based on the same exact time, 28 days. Okay. The sun has an influence upon the planet Earth also. It brings things to life. If you don't get enough sun, you develop what is called seasonal afflicted disorder, which is called SAD. All right. This is the last thing. Is the county UCC 1 financial statement. In here, my indigenous name, which is Asado Alim New Tupac El-Bey, is over my birth name, Leander Jerome Dancy, who is the debtor. And my name spelled in upper and lowercase is over that. You can see here my social security number. You can see here my birth certificate number, in which that I've also reclaimed as part of that Sekiku Trust or Situ Trust. That's SITU. Situ. Look that up.
Quickly state why it's in red right quick.
It is in red because red symbolizes a natural person, because it symbolizes blood.
And
so the thumbprint is here, which is my seal. That's my natural seal, is my thumbprint. And here is my autograph of Asado Alim New Tupac El-Bey.
Autograph, not signature.
Right, not signature, but autograph. You see, I have the word autograph. Trustee's autograph, settler, secure party, sentient man, living principal, authorized representative. Okay, if you notice, I've also have down here the leaser. I've checked the co-signee and co-signer. I've checked the bailer and bailer, Bailey and bailer. I've checked, and seller and buyer. I've checked, and agricultural lien. I've checked. The only thing or box that I did not check is the non-UCC filing, because this is a UCC filing. But I checked everything else because just in case if I'm leasing property, or I'm buying and selling property, I have a superior contract. If I'm dealing with land issue, agricultural liens, then I have the superior contract. This is what this is a claim.